As the 19th century went on, the people of Europe had many reasons to leave their homes and emigrate to the United States. One of the many millions of people that decided to leave their lives for something better was Ernst Skarstedt. There was many factors that had pushed Skarstedt, such as agricultural failure and famine that was sweeping across Europe. Over the course of the 19th century, over 1 million Swedes would end up embarking on the journey to emigrate to the United States. During this time as an immigrant, Skarstedt was always on the move as he was trying to belong to a place to call home. Skarstedt was born on April 14, 1857 in Selberga, Sweden, to C.W. Skarstedt and Hedvig Elena Wesselgren. Skarstedt from a young age was known for acting different than the other kids around him. Skarstedt's father was a pastor for the local church and a docent at Lund University in Lund, Sweden, and his mother was a homemaker. Reverend C.W. Skarstedt had a certain way of parenting as he was harsh on his children. In 1863, his mother died from an unknown illness, and his father remarried to Ida Paul Westall the following year. From a young age, Skarstedt had always had a close relationship with his family, and he would end up getting a great education during his time as a child. As he got older, Skarstedt had no idea what he wanted to do with his life, and he went on a spree of working odd jobs or going to university. Skarstedt was active in the university community as he attended plays and he started taking violin lessons. As time went on, he knew that he did not want to attend college anymore, and he contemplated on what he was going to do. After some time of thinking, he decided he was going to leave for the United States for a fresh start. He would leave in 1878 to become a farmer in the American West. During the height of emigration to the United States, many states offer very cheap land, and he was one of the many Europeans that were attracted by this offer. He worked until he was able to afford the land that he wanted. After some time of moving around the United States from Chicago to Kansas and then to Colorado, he had to start a job working for a newspaper in Colorado. After some time in Colorado, he was offered a job to become a member of the editorial staff of a well-known Swedish language newspaper in Chicago. After some time in Chicago, he ended up getting married to Anna Holt. Following their marriage and the birth of their child, Skarstedt and his wife decided to move to Washington Territory, looking to start a farm. In 1888, tragedy struck as his daughter and wife contracted typhoid fever, and his wife would end up dying from the illness. Skarstedt was distraught with the death of his wife, and he was never the same after. During his time in the United States, Skarstedt had become a well-known newspaper editor, and he was offered a job in San Francisco to become an editor of a newspaper. In early 1839, he met Ellen Hogberg, and they were married on November 22nd of 1839. Over the next decade, Skarstedt would continue a cycle of farming for a few years and then moving to the city to work mostly as a newspaper editor, and then go back to farming as he could never really decide what he wanted to do. He had his ups and downs though, as in 1906 he was in San Francisco during the time of the earthquake and most of his life's work was destroyed during the tragedy. He and his family would become homeless and they decided to move back to the farm in the Pacific Northwest. As a newspaper editor, he became well known. His work was noticed by the Swedish and they offered him a chance to go back to Sweden to meet the royal family. Once there, he realized that the people there are much more respectful and welcoming compared to the United States. Especially during his trip, he was treated to many lavish items and treats from the Swedish people. During his time in America, he was always noting that people were always rude and aggressive. He wrote in his journal, "The first thing which attracted his attention when he stepped on the Swedish soil was the people's politeness and consideration." Many years of residence in America had made him accustomed to the general American aggressiveness, the men's blunt behavior and women's cold-blooded haughtiness, and the young people's forwardness and cavalier manner towards the older people. With his continued success of being an editor, he was offered a job to work in New York City at a newspaper. Skarstedt would end up leaving New York City to move back home to Seattle and live out the rest of his days. Near the end of 1928, Skarstedt had some health problems and his leg became swollen and numb. Over the next few months, Skarstedt had to deal with health problems and he would die on March 13, 1929. Though he struggled to find a true home, Skarstedt made many friends during his journeys. Skarstedt's life had been far from affluent in the world's goods. Life had been sustained for his family and himself only amidst considerable hardship and deprivation. However, Skarstedt had enriched life for many people through his talents in conversation, music, and writing, which had resulted in many books and thousands of newspaper articles. He engaged in many progressive debates of his day. He was pro-immigration and believed the United States should be a safe harbor for all who are persecuted. He also advocated for the rights of women. Skarstedt was not a man known to sit still. He was well educated and never settled with just one job in one location, often moving from place to place seemingly in search of something to satiate a need in his mind.